Welcome to Attainable Green. I'm Jess, and today we're going to talk about my Angraecum leonis. Now, I got this plant early this year from a Madagascar pre-sale, and when it came, it looked pretty dehydrated. I took suggestions from the comment section, and I potted up this plant in a clay pot with charcoal and sphagnum moss. And the sphagnum moss has definitely been a great boon for this plant to help it establish its root system. And looking at it now, it is actually in flower. And that is really exciting because I have waited to see what the flowers on this plant looks like, and it is so stunning. It has 2 spikes. One spike has 1 bud still to open. The second spike has 3 flowers, and the first flower has just opened yesterday. And I did get to smell the fragrance, and it's kind of a floral sweet scent. So it is very pleasant and very lovely. The flowers on this plant are not very large. In fact, it's about 1.5 inches across and around, but the nectary or the spur of the plant has about 3 inches in length. The flowers on this plant start out green in bud, and as it opens, it becomes more white as it matures. I've noticed that the texture of this plant is slightly waxy, but it kind of has a translucent crystalline sheen that you can see in the sunlight. I also really love how the lip kind of has this scoop spoon-like shape, and overall the presentation just makes it look so elegant. So currently this plant is doing really well. It has recovered from that little bit of dehydration when it was first shipped over, and it has grown new roots. As you can see, there is a small root peeking out from the stem, and it has a nice green growing tip underneath the moss. I try to keep it covered in the moss so that it has enough moisture during its growing season to really thrive and survive. There are a couple of wrinkles still on the leaves, but that's expected, and I'm hoping after the flowers fade, it can start growing new leaves and just improve upon its root system. The Angraecum leonis comes in 2 forms. One comes from Madagascar in the northern area, and it's known to have drier and warmer conditions. The second form is the Comoros Island form, which tends to grow in higher elevations and has heavier rainfall. There is a distinction between the 2 varieties, with the Madagascar form being smaller and the flowers are smaller. The Comoros Island form is almost double the size of the one from Madagascar. In the comment section of my Angraecoid video, someone did mention that I can get an leonis in much better shape than the one that I had received if I go to an orchid nursery. So I looked for a leonis, and I tried to pick a large blooming size one, and this is what I received in the mail. This is the Angraecum leonis Comoros Island form. And you can tell by its large size. It is about twice the size of the Madagascar form. And it has darker leaves and they are more curved. Surprisingly, this plant with 2 large flanges has not bloomed before. The larger form definitely looks in healthier condition, and it is fully hydrated. I also noticed that the roots look slightly different. As it's growing, the growing tip stays that kind of white grayish color, and it doesn't have a bright green root tip. So I don't know if that is a distinct difference between the 2 forms, but it's something that I noticed. Also, there are a couple differences in that at the apex of the leaves, there is a wider segment between the leaf sections. Also, where the leaf emerges, there is a wider slit that kind of has a groove to the plant. So if you look at it from the top view, there's a slight groove creating a hole into the leaf of this plant. Versus the Madagascar form, they have no grooves, but it just has a slight opening where the leaf emerges. Looking online and a couple of literature, it's kind of hard to tell what the difference is between the 2 plants, but now that I have both of them in front of me, it's definitely more noticeable, the differences. And as it grows, I'm sure once the flower comes out, there may be some differences in how the flower shape looks as well. right now I'm just enjoying seeing these two plants grow, and I'm growing them side by side. So right now, these plants are in my humidity tent outdoors. And so it has a lot higher humidity. I keep it well watered. I water it almost every single day, and it seems to dry out pretty quickly. So I know that there's not going to be any root rot problems with this plant. I know that as the weather starts to cool down and it gets into the low 60s, I may have to bring these plants inside. These plants are in a semi-shaded setup. So even though the sun is out for about 6 to 8 hours in this particular setup, it's heavily shaded. I noticed that these plants don't need super bright light. In fact, if you put it in too bright light, you can get a little bit of sunburn, or the leaves may start to turn more of a yellow tone. The light levels don't seem to affect the blooming of the plant, but I think that for appearances, it's better to just not get sunburn on these plants so that they just look at their best. So that is a quick overview of my Angraecum leonis, and I just wanted to share the blooms with you. If you've grown this plant in either form, please let me know if you found any differences in how they grow and how they bloom, or anything that could help us clarify the differences between both plants. Well, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, Attainable Green, for the latest updates. And hit the bell so you never miss an episode. Bye!